Hello all you people out there, and welcome back to Let's Play Pikmin 2. This is episode 2. I'm XenoGeno Matt. Last time we started out crash landing in the Valley of Repose, reuniting with Louie. This time we'll be heading back there and see what day 2 has to offer us. Good morning, workers. Ready for another day of toiling for the profit of your company. The Pikmin seem to be still asleep in their onion. What lazy creatures. No wonder they lack survival skills. Stand beneath the onion and press A to call them out. A little more sounded surprised there, almost like he hasn't done this before. Right off the bat, we've got some 1 pellet posies here. Let me guess, both of them are going to jump on the same one. Like a charm. Got a couple 5 pellet posies. It's worth noting here, but having Pikmin bring back pellet posies that are the same color as them makes more Pikmin. For example, if a red Pikmin brings back a 1 red pellet, then it'll produce 2 red Pikmin instead of just 1. Whereas if it were to bring back a blue 1 pellet, it would only produce 1 red Pikmin. Alright, grab a hold of that. I want 2 people on these because they're far away from the onions. So starting on day 2, we now have a timer which is going across the top of the screen, as indicated by the sun there. Days in this game are the same length as days in the last game. I believe it's like 13 minutes or so. However, in Pikmin 2, unlike Pikmin 1, there's a way to stop the timer, and we'll be getting into that in just a few minutes. We got another pellet posy up there that is not ready to bloom yet. How many Pikmin do we need on this bag? 25 or 35? Alright, we don't have 35 yet. Or, well, we do, but they're carrying these pellet posies back. Although I could have just stopped them and picked it up. That's fine. We got all the time in the world. We got plenty of time. We got nothing but time. We got time to kill. That's probably what the one know-it-all kid said in the Polar Express. Don't quote me on that. It's probably somewhat off. To see how fast throwing is in this game. A lot faster than Pikmin 1. There we go. Crush the bag. Got another dwarf red bulborb here. And he dropped the pellet posy. Nice. Here we got a red bulborb, or a spotty bulborb, I believe they're called. Let's get behind him, and instead of bum rushing him, call him back, call them back. Nice, nice, excellent. Got a treasure over there, it looks like. But for now... Oh. This dwarf red bulborb just slid. Have these guys come back here. We've got 1 more 5 pellet. Inactive captains, like if I were to dismiss Louie right next to this pluckable thing, it's a Pikmin, pluckable sprout, he would not pluck it. Bit inconvenient. Also, inactive Pikmin will run to the nearest target, like if there's something being carried and it's got extra room for more Pikmin, they'll jump on it and carry it right away. Alright, everything's here. We should have like 70 Pikmin. Excellent. That's everyone accounted for. Tapping A rapidly makes Olimar and Louie kind of move to the next route automatically. Nice touch. Very needed. Unfortunately, there's no nectar in this first area on these first couple days. So let's get some Pikmin working on this treasure right here. Actually, let's get the full enchilada working on that. How many can we have? 45? Alright, cool. So now, let's grab, or not grab, but let's put all these Pikmin to work breaking down this wall here. And I'll have Louie go sit back at base for the treasure to come by. That way, once they're done, Louie can just bring them back and reunite with Olimar. So yeah, nice first area. I've seen images of like the areas like skybox that you're not really supposed to see. And it's pretty nice. I actually really like it. I believe there's a telephone pole that casts a shadow somewhere further in. I don't know. Stuff like that always intrigues me. Like stuff that the developers clearly did not intend for you to see, but is there nonetheless. Like here, you can see a little bit of it in the background, but you never really get to see the full thing. Name Utter Scrap. Classic can. I believe the Pikmin mod had it called Genghis Can. Really classy, that one. How could Pikmin destroy such a massive wall? When mass their might is ferocious. Louie, did Olimar instruct you on proper Pikmin commanding protocol? Apparently not. Olimar, you are failing in your duty as a superior. Allow me to explain. Press A to grab Pikmin and release to throw them. Call them into a group with B. Press X to disband the group. Use C-Stick to issue orders and objectives to the group. C-Stick is useful for swarming Pikmin around treasure and enemies, or making them march in a line. Thank you for the PSA ship. We got water in this direction, impeding our progress. It's the only way to go. Is down. Interesting. Warm air is welling up from the hole in the ground before you. What could lie underground? What is wrong? You both show expressions of unease. Do not fear. The leader's group of Pikmin will join you. I shall dispatch my research pod too. Approach the hole and press A to jump in. So yeah, Pikmin 2 introduces caves. While you're in caves, time will stop. So whenever we get out of this cave, the time will be exactly, the time of day will be exactly the same as the moment before we entered. Intriguing. My heat sensors indicate that this hole's interior is warmer than on the surface. Analysis suggests subterranean areas may support different life forms than the surface. If you wish to check underground terrain, press start/pause to communicate with me. I am not just a ship, I am a all-purpose support pod. Our first sub-level of our first cave, and I see a lot of treasure, and I also see a new enemy. A dwarf snowy bulborb. Just like the other dwarf bulborbs, throwing Pikmin directly on top of them will one-hit them. So let's carry all this back. We got a whole train of stuff. There we go. The convoy is here. March to the ship. Now, since we're underground, carrying back enemies does not produce more Pikmin, but rather... Sir, how could you possibly consider this beast a treasure? Beasts are incompatible with my circuitry. I suppose I will store your finds in my hold, but I do not think beasts will be worth much. Here we have a bottle cap of sorts of the 7-Up variety. Again, not sponsored by 7-Up. The quenching emblem. Quench your thirst with a 7-Up bottle cap. Specifically only the bottle cap, though. And here is the mighty citrus lump. Nice looking orange, if I do say so myself. So yeah, while underground, bringing back common enemies will give you a couple extra Pokos, but nothing too good. This hole appears to be quite deep. My sensors indicate more treacherous terrain ahead. Louis, you do recall that you can adjust the camera with L, R, and Z, correct? Your expression suggests you do. Excellent. Then approach the hole and press A to enter it. That's right. These caves are multi-floored little dungeons. As of right now, there's no way to get extra Pikmin when you enter a dungeon, but we'll see that's not always going to be the case later. Looks like we're already at the final floor. See, as we saw there, you will be notified when you're on the final floor. And typically the final floor coincides with a boss, but not this time. It's inconceivable that such an immense object has been buried here for so long. The design on the outer shell resembles the surface of the planet as seen from space. Perhaps this can be used for something other than salvage. But how will we ever lift it? I feared that even 100 red Pikmin will be unable to lift it. I think you're exaggerating, ship. He's not exaggerating. It takes 101, but as we've seen in the Pikmin 1 Let's Play, 100 Pikmin is the maximum you can have in the field at one time. Here we are in Emergence Cave, but what will we do? We can't go back, boost our numbers, and bring in 100 more Pikmin, and I sure as heck can't let that Pikmin die to a snowy bulborb this early in a Let's Play. Actually, you know what? Carry these back. You guys need the head start. What do we have here? Astounding! A flower blooms in a cave deep beneath the snowy landscape. Clearly, it is warmer down here than above. Look, the Pikmin are restless. They look as if they yearn to be tossed into the flower. Let's toss them in, and we've missed almost all of them. You can toss in up to 5 Pikmin per flower. And what have we here? Oof. Amazing. A purple Pikmin. It has hair, and is quite stocky. It seems very heavy and strong. This kind of Pikmin was not mentioned in your report, Olimar. It must be an entirely new type. Transforming Pikmin by tossing them into flowers? Intriguing. Perhaps there are others. Meet the single most broken thing in this entire game, bar none. These purple Pikmin are beefy. They're the slowest of the Pikmin, but that's just about... Oh, and they're not resistant to any sort of elemental things like fire, electricity, water, or poison. But that's just about where their disadvantages end. And their advantages heavily outweigh the disadvantages. So, starting off, they can carry the weight of 10 red Pikmin, or 10 regular Pikmin each. So that's pretty dang good, right off the bat. So in Pikmin 1, red Pikmin were typically your fighters. These Pikmin can do like it's either like 1.25 times damage or 1.5 times damage of like a red or yellow or blue Pikmin fighting. The purples can do, I think, like 2 times damage. It's something nuts. It's insane. So right away, they've replaced the reds as the fighters. And if that wasn't enough, throwing a purple Pikmin, if I can have a volunteer quick without making you drop the whole thing. Yep, they'll float a little bit and then thud down, and that thud can stun enemies, leaving them completely vulnerable for a few seconds. Spherical Atlas. There is a device resembling a microchip embedded inside the sphere, retrieving data. Error. I could only decode a portion of the data, but I did retrieve new geographic charts. I will input this data into my planetary database and name it the Sphere Chart. Press start/pause to contact me and access the Explorer Kit on the radar screen with L. Now that we have this new data, you should explore the decoded territory tomorrow. Neat. Sounds like we just got ourselves a new area. And the Pikmin will start humming Luigi's Mansion theme when they've cleared a sub-level of all of its treasure. But how do we get out of here? We're 2 sub-levels deep. But not to worry. Astounding! Water is shooting out of this geyser with incredible force. Sensors indicate that it has enough power to launch you into the air. Approach it with and press A to try it. And conveniently, it seems to be pointing towards an opening. Four treasures, 22 Pokos from enemies, cave complete, no Pikmin lost. That's Emergence Cave done. Back to the Valley of Repose. You have successfully returned to the planet's surface. Excellent decision-making, gentlemen. We must celebrate your first successful spelunking expedition. You've gathered a large amount of data that needs in-depth analysis. I shall send a report back to the President tonight detailing your progress. Olimar and Louis, since you will explore a new area tomorrow, today's work is done. What? You still want to work? Unacceptable. You may not realize it, but you are exhausted. You should take a much-needed rest, as you have all the time you will need to collect treasure. Haste makes waste, so take it slow and steady. Yep, so in Pikmin 2, there is no time limit in terms of days. Pikmin 1 had the 30-day time limit. Pikmin 2 has unlimited days. I mean, unless you played for like 2.1 billion days and maybe overflowed the day counter. I'm not sure what would happen if someone who is adept at hacking Pikmin 2 sees this. Let me know what would happen, like in terms of like the letters and all that. I'm assuming it just wraps around to negative 2.1 bill, but I don't know. Just the thought of seeing that on a letter, like day negative 2 billion, absolutely nuts. Anyway, red Pikmin have gone up, and we now have purple Pikmin. That's what we'd like to see. A clean board. Baby steps first, Olimar. Plan well, and don't worry about me. Our debt is with Happy Hokatate Savings and Loans, after all. Besides, there's nothing left to repossess, so ha! Our good old debt-dodging president. Awakening Wood will be our next destination. But first, let's see what Olimar says. We got 4 new treasures. This fruit was dug up from the floor of an icy cavern. It appears that the fruit's thick skin protected it from the frigid cold. It's quite remarkable. The shape of the fruit eerily resembles the president's head. P.S. The labyrinthian underground entrails of this planet are like a completely different world. Whew. The area we recently touched down in is blanketed with a fresh layer of frozen precipitation. As tranquil and relaxing as it is, I named it the Valley of Repose. Using Pikmin to move obstacles, I was able to open up some new areas to exploration, where I found this hunk of metal. And a hunk it is, Olimar. The purple Pikmin were somehow able to carry this massive treasure. Today we measured their physical strength using the ship's onboard beefometer. It seems that they have 10 times the weight and physical power of any other Pikmin. When I throw them, they land with a resounding thud. I've decided to commemorate the cave I first encountered them in by naming it Emergence Cave, even though it was already named before we got there. I often brag about my inexhaustible supply of self-control, but when I peer at this treasure, I can't help but want to take a drink. And 7-Up's really gotten Olimar. Here we go, we got a foxtail. Foxtail, Vulpes cauda, foxtail family. This plant remains erect after withering and losing its color, so we can only hypothesize about the true color of the plant's plumage. However, local soil analysis indicates trace amounts of dormant seeds, making it not hard to imagine that the area was thick with these plants in the summer. Clover, Quatrius infectum, clover family. This is a naturalized species. These plants are extremely persistent, and with the assistance of a symbiotic fungus that grows on its roots, the species is able to survive even in drought conditions. Typically, its leaves come in groupings of 3, but intense impact on the leafing stem early in the development cycle can result in an extremely rare 4-leaf cluster. Got the violet candy pop bud, Flora Puniceus. Candy Pop family. Research from our most recent expedition has confirmed the presence of candy pop buds in subterranean regions. Considering the microecologies this plant has been found in, one could surmise that it could be found in any cavern, regardless of geographic region. Tossing Pikmin into this flower results in the release of purple Pikmin seeds, regardless of the color of the Pikmin tossed in. This variety of candy pop contains robustly odoriferous oils. If candy pop flowers could be cultivated, there is no doubt that the plants would offer multifaceted benefits to the cosmetic, medical, and tourist industries. Oh boy, struggling to read tonight. Oh, snow bulborbs. Pansaurus Frosticus. Breadbug family. Like the dwarf red bulborb, the snow bulborb is a member of the breadbug family that seeks to survive through imitating the appearance and behavior of a bulborb. Its pale coloration of blue spots make for easy identification. In particular, this organism mimics the hairy bulborb, but it is of course unable to grow the hair that gives the hairy bulborb its name. However, as the hairy bulborb has been known to lose its hair in certain circumstances, the snow bulborb is an effective mimic that is often mistaken for a member of the same species. Here we got the red bulborb, Oculus Kageyami Rufus, the grub dog family. This large organism has the familiar mandibles and cranial morphology of the grub dog family, as well as the characteristic bulging eyes. As with most grub dogs, the creature's cranium comprises half of its total length and girth, showing a scarlet abdomen with white spots. This creature is primarily nocturnal, choosing to prey upon smaller creatures returning to their nests. Originally classified as the spotty bulborb, further research has reclassified this species as the red bulborb. Subspecies of varied colors have recently been discovered, but academics are divided into two rival camps over how to handle their classification. Well, let's see what Louis. Inedible. Plagues victims with potent, debilitating cramps. Mildly poisonous, may result in nausea, headache, fever, fatigue, chest pains, paralysis, loss of bone density, moodiness, feral rage, sauciness, dilly-dallying, strokes of brilliance, and untimely doom. Yikes. This convenient purple flower secretes a dark, flavorful oil that eliminates the need for salad dressing. Best grilled and served hot over a bed of fresh spinach and crumbled blue cheese. Plump specimens are best spit roasted whole, stuffed with a lime and a slab of bacon, basted frequently to ensure a magnificently moist haunch. That's just a slab of bacon. You know, I'll suspend my disbelief. There's bacon in the Pikmin universe for these 2-inch tall Hokatashins. Anyway, I'll call it here. Next time on Let's Play Pikmin 2, we'll go explore the Awakening Wood. See you all then.